How's everyone doing today? I'll take it. That's me. My name is Ali Haeri. I'm Vice President of Marketing at MNTN. And this is a tremendous privilege. I've been working in B2B marketing my whole career, and I've attended this event before, several times before. So to be able to be on the stage here today, it's very, very cool. Now, despite what you may think, I'm not the most well-known member of the MNTN executive team. That's actually a gentleman by the name of Ryan Reynolds. Ryan is our Chief Creative Officer. And just to get the question that I get all the time out of the way immediately, yes, Ryan really works at MNTN. It's not a celebrity endorsement. Ryan is actively involved in the work that we do. Now, the way Ryan joined us was by way of an acquisition that MNTN made of his creative agency called Maximum Effort. And for those of you that are in the know, Maximum Effort is kind of known for a pretty stunning resume of creative that they've created for really well-known brands, like Peloton most recently. I think a lot of people kind of saw their work with Peloton. And we made that acquisition, and we actually learned a lot from working with Ryan, and that's what I want to kind of talk about today. Also in combination with something that I think is important for B2B marketers, which is differentiation. And so really, I've been kind of railing on this point a lot over the past few years, which is B2B marketers, we all work out of the same playbook. And what is that playbook? It's paid search ads, it's LinkedIn ads, it's landing pages, guides, gated content, whatever it is. We all work out of that same playbook. And really what's important to me is differentiation. How do we go beyond that classic B2B marketing playbook? And so what we'll talk about today is some of the things that Ryan taught us as B2B advertisers. It's kind of an unlikely marriage. But we'll talk about that. We'll also talk about connected TV as a method for really kind of getting that differentiation that we're all looking for as B2B marketers. So what we'll talk about today is Ryan and MNTN and how, again, we've become better B2B marketers because of that relationship. Then we'll pivot over to CTV, talk about CTV specifically in the context of B2B marketing. It's a relatively new thing for B2B marketers to be thinking about television advertising, so let's make that make sense for us in the room. Then we'll talk about an experiment that we actually did, and we'll look at real data. We'll look at real results of a TV campaign, just to make it make sense for this audience. And then finally, we'll talk about some learnings that have gone both ways, what we've learned from Ryan and what we've also taught Ryan's agency as B2B marketers ourselves. Now, what's really interesting about Ryan as an advertising professional is that his knack for storytelling is very, very good. For those of you that have been kind of following his career, he's done really well in the business world, and specifically he's been focusing on advertising because he loves the medium. He loves that sort of opportunity to take, 30 seconds, 60 seconds to tell a really compelling story, and he's very good at it. Now, a really good example of this is something that we recently did, and you should look this up because it's a bizarre but hilarious kind of story. We had this dilemma where we needed to put out a product demo. Just like all B2B marketers, we need to demo our product. We need people to see how it works, how easy it is to use. Ryan had this concern that if we just had him on camera demoing a platform, despite his charm, it still wouldn't be that fascinating. It might be too boring. So he had this idea of actually inviting Steve-O from Jackass to actually help him out with the demo. What happens is Steve-O joins Ryan, and right before Steve-O delivers a product demo, Ryan has him eat a Carolina Reaper chili pepper, which is the spiciest thing in the world that you can actually eat. And then hilarity ensues. I really encourage everybody to check it out on YouTube. It's insane. The point here is this is the first big lesson that we've learned, is that there's no excuse for B2B marketing not to be compelling. There's no excuse for it not to be entertaining. Now, this is certainly an extreme, but the point here, though, is that as a B2B brand, it's not as if we can't have fun with our target audience either. And this is something that Ryan's taught us that's been really, really important, is that we're not beholden to seriousness when it comes to demonstrating our product. And in all of the campaigns that we've been doing, even predating Ryan's involvement with Mountain, we've always had irreverence as an important sort of component of our brand. We don't take ourselves too seriously. That's a really important lesson for B2B marketers. Now, specifically, what are the things about storytelling that we've learned along those same lines from Ryan? Obviously, getting creative is very important. You know, featuring a star from the show Jackass is not the first thing that a lot of people think of when they're thinking about B2B product demonstrations, but this is something that turned out to be really, really impactful for us. It was super entertaining. And strangely enough, I was on a call with an analyst at one of the two big analyst research firms, and the analyst for our industry was kind of laughing when he was telling me that he said that it was a very efficient product demo. He was very surprised about how much he learned about Mountain in the context of a seemingly bizarre product demonstration. So creativity is certainly important. Now, something that may seem a little contradictory to that, but certainly is just as important, is not sacrificing the story. So, you know, if you do choose to get really creative, you want to make sure that you're still making use of that time that you have with prospects to still deliver a really important message. You don't want to get so in love with your own creative. I see this happen a lot too. As just a consumer who happens to work in marketing, there are times where I see like maybe campaigns that are a little too clever, where I look at that and I'm left wondering, this was very entertaining, but I have no idea what you do, or I have no idea how this product works. And so it's really important to make sure that you strike a balance between the two. Next is simplification. This is a really important thing, especially for B2B marketers, because a lot of times as B2B marketers, we find ourselves in situations where we're marketing an excessively technical or sophisticated product. And that's a challenge, especially when you have this challenge of limited real estate or maybe a short ad unit. How do you pack all of that in, again, when something's excessively technical and seemingly requires a lot of time to understand how it works? I spent a lot of time consulting data science companies in Silicon Valley that had very technical products and very technical and sophisticated buyers. And one of the things that I would always do is just go into product marketing mode and just constantly, you know, this concept of first principles, just keep boiling it down to something that's easier and easier to digest. And you'll always be rewarded for that. No matter how sophisticated your buyer is, they'll always appreciate a really simple understanding of what your product does. And it also goes a long way when you're actually in a position where you need to create ad creative. If you're talking about a 15-second spot that you have, you need a really succinct message about what your product does, which again, maybe for consumer products, this isn't really an issue because maybe there's a little bit more obviousness with what products do, but definitely for B2B marketing, this is a hugely important thing because you don't have a ton of time and attention span from your prospects to really sufficiently explain what it is that you do. Finally, with regards to measurement, I'm not going to belabor this point because I figure if you're attending a user conference for a marketing automation platform, you probably understand the benefit of measuring your marketing campaigns. So I think you all got that point. Now let's pivot for a second as B2B marketers and kind of take a look at the challenges that B2B marketers face, and then we'll tie it all together at the end with regards to how storytelling plays a part in all of this. What we see here is a study that was done on B2B marketers where they identified their biggest challenges, the things that are most important to them. And I think intuitively, all the marketers who are looking at this data probably nod their heads saying, yeah, that sounds about right. You know, if we're talking about B2B marketers, the priority is increasing revenue. That's why a lot of us are doing what we're doing. And, you know, knowing that marketers are looking to increase revenue, specifically B2B marketers, we rely heavily on performance marketing channels. And so moving on here, that same study, what we also noticed is what are the tactics and channels these marketers are relying on in order to do that, increase revenue and those other objectives. And again, this is another one where as marketers, you intuitively sort of, all this stuff checks out, right? A lot of social media marketing, probably LinkedIn is overrepresented in that. Content marketing, this is your guides and ebooks and whatnot. Email marketing, you get the point. This is all bread and butter B2B marketing. Now, streaming TV is at the bottom of this list, and that's specifically what I want to talk about here today. Because there's a huge opportunity here for B2B marketers to seize this channel. Now, before I explain it, I just want to kind of reiterate my position, which is I'm a B2B marketer like you all. I'm in that same situation where I need to drive performance. I work along a sales organization. I have an expectation to build a pipeline alongside the sales organization. From a channel standpoint, I'm optimized on paid search and paid social to the bone. I think every best practice under the sun is being deployed in all of the work that we do. And I suspect a lot of the B2B marketers in this room, if you're at a conference like this, you have your act together. I suspect a lot of you are in that position too, where you're like, paid search is delivering what it needs to do. There's no more optimizations left over there. If I just kind of threw out there TV advertising as an opportunity for a lot of B2B marketers, you'd understandably maybe laugh a little bit because TV has largely been a no man's land for B2B marketers. And, you know, it makes sense if you kind of think through it with regards to linear TV advertising. Suppose you're marketing for a airplane manufacturing company, you know, and it's a product that makes parts for airplanes. What TV show are you going to find and run your ads against where you feel like you would be talking to your target audience? That's a really difficult thing to do. And so understandably, you haven't seen a lot of B2B advertising on linear television. And that's not even considering the fact that it's like cost prohibitive for a lot of B2B marketers as well. We really need to be prudent about the channels that we choose and meticulous about the data that we analyze. And again, linear TV has never really been conducive to these needs as a B2B marketer. And so enter connected TV, a different approach to television advertising. And the benefits here are fantastic for B2B marketers. You have precision audience targeting. So you can just talk to exactly who it is that you want to, and there isn't that inherent waste of viewers of a TV network or a TV show that are just irrelevant to your target audience. You have accurate measurement, and we'll get to that in just a second. And of course, it's able to drive goals. This can be a performance marketing channel. You can track the performance of TV campaigns just as you would the other tried and true performance marketing channels that you rely on as a marketer. And so we know CTV works for B2B because we are a B2B brand that uses connected television. And the way that we use connected television, again, we treat it as a performance marketing channel. It should sound very familiar to the marketers in the room. We do prospecting campaigns on TV, so we identify audiences that fit the criteria of our target audience. In our case, it's marketing and advertising professionals. So we find people who are in that space, people who are in market for advertising technology. So we have this like laser precision when it comes to our prospecting audiences. We do retargeting on television as well. Perhaps some of you have seen these ads from Mountain before. So if you visit Mountain's website, you're going to be retargeted when you're streaming some sort of ad-supported TV with our advertising. So this is a new dimension to retargeting, a tried and true channel for B2B marketing. But we have this space from our competitors where we can actually advertise on television and differentiate ourselves from all of our other competitors that are using all the same channels that everybody else is. And also, interestingly, we do CRM-based targeting as well. So a lot of you who find yourselves doing things like social media advertising, where you're uploading a list of some sort and using that as like a matched audience type of advertising, we do the same thing with TV. We take our ABM target list, we upload it into the platform, and we show our target audience TV ads as well. So, you know, if you didn't know any different, you'd think I was talking about some classic performance marketing channel, but I'm actually talking about TV advertising. Now, we did something really interesting. Once Ryan came on board, the first project we actually did was a really entertaining one, and it was an A/B test. We had Ryan create 2 different ads for us. One where he's talking straight to the camera, obviously featuring him, and another one where he's just narrating. And what we did was we ran these ads on the platform to see which one performed better. So why don't we watch the 2 ads, and then on the other side of it, we'll talk about the performance results.
Hey there, it's Ryan Reynolds, and if you're seeing this, you probably work in the marketing world. Now, I just want to let you know that my marketing firm, Maximum Effort, is merging with Mountain, which is one of the fastest growing companies in ad tech. They built an amazing self-serve connected TV platform, which not coincidentally, we used to upload this video. Now, if you're not in marketing, I apologize, you must be very confused. Visit mountain.com to schedule a demo. Unless you're not in marketing, which, again, massive apologies. This is Mountain. This is your brand on Mountain. Any questions? Yes, you probably have a ton. This is a pretty blind opening. Anyway, Mountain is one of the fastest growing connected TV platforms, and they just merged with Maximum Effort, the creative marketing company owned by this guy. No, this guy. That's why the mountain volcano metaphor kind of works. It's great tech, and it's great creative in one place. Visit mountain.com for more details. Don't worry, there's no lava.
Great creative, and specifically in that first example, this kind of shows something that's really fascinating about connected television advertising that you can't really do with linear TV advertising, because in that first ad, Ryan is just talking to the target prospect, knowing that the audience is constrained to just our target audience, which is marketing and advertising professionals. He's talking directly to them. This isn't something that you could comfortably do with linear TV advertising because of the inherent sort of vague and abstract targeting of the platforms. So here are the results. It was actually pretty entertaining. The ad where Ryan is narrating rather than actually talking straight to the camera had better performance. 3 times better visit rate to the website than the ad where he was actually directly featured in it. And it's also interesting, we did a follow-up ad after this. I'm not going to show it, but we did a follow-up ad where a real customer success rep at Mountain got on a Zoom call with Ryan and broke the news to him that the ad that didn't feature him directly was the one that actually had better performance. Go check that out if you have a chance as well. Now, the point here is, despite what you may think, you actually don't need an A-list celebrity to make this platform work. Really, it's something that sounds a little crazy, but I find myself telling my marketing peers this when they ask me what's it like to work with Ryan Reynolds at a B2B company, is we get far more value out of Ryan's storytelling than we do out of Ryan's celebrity. B2B marketers don't want to be patronized, and they don't want a celebrity that has nothing to do with the product just telling them to buy it. This isn't a chocolate bar. This is a sophisticated marketing technology software. And so you don't actually need a celebrity involved. You just need a really compelling story to tell, which, again, in the world of B2B marketing isn't always the case. I don't want to irritate people here, but a lot of B2B marketing is a little dry and boring. And again, there's no reason why it has to be that way. And so if you're curious about the results of the campaign, here's what it looks like. First of all, it was cool to do a campaign like this. And again, it was kind of crazy because when you think about measuring TV campaigns in the linear world, you're talking about Nielsen reports and really like abstract brand lift reports and things like that, where it's difficult to kind of understand direct impact. But in this case, it's programmatic. And with really good technology, you can get some pretty high-fidelity metrics that tell you the performance of these campaigns. In our case, we had data in the platform, but also Mountain pushed the data into Google Analytics. Like all of you, that's a tool that we use to measure the performance across several different channels. So it was nice to measure connected television performance alongside our other performance marketing channels. Now, in terms of actual performance, the numbers are really impressive for us. About a quarter of traffic to our website during that time period came by way of this TV campaign. That's kind of crazy. You know, it's not every day where as B2B marketers we stumble upon new channels that as soon as you switch it on, they drive 25% of your website's traffic. And this is qualified traffic as well. Over 16% of our website conversions during that time period, again, were attributed to this campaign. Now, you may be wondering, well, how are we able to attribute people who viewed a television ad and then converted on a website? We have a cross-device attribution technology that has a very large device graph of every household in America that is connected to a connected TV device. As soon as a device connects to ad-supported streaming, that device gets added to our device identity graph. And so we're able to tell that when another device in a household that was served a streaming TV ad visits an advertiser's website, we're able to attribute that to the TV campaign. What's also cool about it, too, is it's inherently fair. So say an ad was served, but then the person visited that advertiser's website by way of some other paid channel, say a Facebook ad, for example. Then the platform doesn't take any credit for it because it was another platform that drove that visit. And so in light of that sort of attribution methodology, we had a $6.72 cost per visit and a verified visit rate of over 3%. This is really transformative. Again, you don't come across channels like this as B2B marketers every day. To get something that has this sort of seismic impact on your channel mix. It's fundamentally changed how we approach our whole channel mix, how we budget, and how we measure things as well. So just kind of wrapping things up here, I want to talk about some learnings that kind of went both ways. Back to that original point about working with Ryan, the learnings that we got from him were really important, which was there's no excuse as B2B marketers to not create compelling content. Even in a scenario where you just have something as seemingly dry as a product demo, there's still ways to inject creativity into that process and make it something fun for people to watch while still understanding it. I mean, if someone at one of the major analyst research firms, who I think are pretty buttoned up and a little dry myself, are being amused while also understanding fundamentally how a product works, then I think it's doing its job. Something that's kind of amusing, I think the B2B marketers in the room here will kind of enjoy this because there's this sort of informal rivalry between B2B marketers and B2C marketers. One thing that's always been amusing to me is working with the Maximum Effort team, this creative agency that we acquired. They're used to working with the biggest direct-to-consumer brands. They weren't really used to working with B2B brands before. And some of the things that was kind of like new for them that they needed to learn about our world as B2B marketers were things like channel mix. They're used to using different channels, doing a lot of out-of-home, for example, and these just aren't the channels that B2B marketers tend to necessarily lean on. So it was interesting for them to learn about that, and also the benchmarks, because benchmarks vary between B2B and B2C, and obviously on a channel-by-channel basis. Another one that was interesting, too, is the sales cycle. So I remember once we deployed that very first campaign, someone at the agency reached out to me and said, so how does sales look? And I said, I don't know, ask me in 6 weeks. Like, this isn't something that we'll know instantaneously. That's just the nature of advertising as a B2B marketer with a longer sales cycle and more involved sales cycle than it is working in direct-to-consumer. So finally, just a couple of key takeaways here. Again, one last time to reiterate, B2B businesses should certainly be as creative as possible. Break out of that mold, tell a really engaging story. You're certainly capable of it. You just really have to work hard to figure out the best way to do it in a way that still honors your brand identity and brand voice, but again, delivers on creativity and delight. Next, performance marketing is truly important in the life of a B2B marketer. And connected TV presents a really neat opportunity for B2B marketers, not just to have a new channel that's going to drive measurable performance, but more importantly, to create a little bit of distance. We're all playing out of that same B2B marketing playbook. Everyone's doing paid search. Everyone's got landing pages. You name it. Everyone's doing the same things. What is it that you can do that can really create some distance between you and your competitors? CTV is still in a nascent enough stage where if you seize that opportunity as a B2B marketer, you can really do some damage and also, again, can create that distance from your competitors. And finally, kind of sensationally, we invoke Ryan Reynolds in the title of this presentation. But the point actually is you really don't need Ryan Reynolds to actually succeed as a brand at all, B2B or B2C. Really great ideas prevail. And an advertising channel like connected TV, with the prestige that people just generally get from doing television advertising, can be hugely beneficial as a marketer. That's all I got today. Really appreciate the time, everyone. Take care. See ya.